so I'm going to wait until that kicks in. I'm also going to wait and make sure that whoever might be lurking around can actually hear me, because I guess I had an update yesterday and it kind of worked with some of my settings and stuff. So I had to reconnect some things and I'm not sure it's working proper. So it looks like Bones might be listening in. If you can hear me, please let me know that it's working okay before I get started on this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to shut down and try and fix it again. Okay, it looks like we've exited out of the host mode, so it should be visible now. Are you able to hear me, or is it echoing or anything? I hope not, because if it is, I have absolutely no idea how to fix that. Anyway, we'll just give it a minute to see if anyone is actually listening. So kind of goofy. I probably should have checked this yesterday after the update, and I didn't. So bad on my part. But hopefully it is working properly. Because again, I am the worst when it comes to setting this stuff up. It took me probably 2 months to get it sorted the first time I used all of this recording, streaming stuff, the OBS and everything. And once I got it set, I haven't touched it really since until I have troubles, and then it gets I get a little nervous. Still no confirmation. I don't know if I don't know if you can hear me. I hope it's working. Everything looks like it's doing as it's supposed to, but anyway, I guess I'll just mention a few things. There is maintenance today. It's supposed to be the usual hour. I think it's 4 a.m. PDT, 1 p.m. CEST time, and I think it said it was to last about an hour. Yeah, about an hour. So not too bad. Bones, can you hear me at all? Anywho, also, as far as I'm aware, the PTR is still open for those that want to check out what's going on with the latest iteration of the game. I think I saw a post from Conguero that they were still looking for additional feedback and that they appreciated all of the feedback that they've gotten so far. And they're especially looking for tidbits about the communities. Hey Bones, can you hear me at all, Bones? Is it working right? Is it echoing? Is it like muted? I can't tell. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So they're looking for more feedback on the communities, especially. I myself still haven't gotten a chance to hop in. Um, Okay, great. I'm glad, even if it's a little low, you guys can just adjust your volume as necessary. Besides, it's not that important listening to me. We're really here just to look at the stuffs. So, yeah, what was I going to say? So if you have a chance to hop onto the PTR, it does require you to download the PTR version, so it's like a separate thing. So some people can't do that because it's a pretty big chunk of memory, I guess. But uh, if you can hop in, give your feedback. I know there was some issues that people were finding out. I guess it was last week, some of the quirks and bugs that were showing up. And any kind of information like that, especially the more detailed you can get about it, the better. so that the developers can zero in on those problems and iron them out before it's actually released. Now, the Prime stuff and everything that's up on the PTR is actually going to be in the next update released. But the communities part, I think, is just, we're really getting a sneak peek. I don't think it's coming out with the next major update that they plan to release. It's going to be a little later in the year. Yeah, there's been a lot of positive comments, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes for everybody. Hey, Cheeky, good morning. Glad you could join us. So today is, of course, we are on Entity NA side this week. Last week, those of you that were with us, we celebrated our 100th House Tours episode or broadcast or whatever you want to call it. So I spent some time on EU showing some of my favorites. And we talked about, why I consider them memorable plots. They're ones that when folks talk about certain themes or styles of building or just covering like an entire, not just exterior, not just interior, but both areas of the housing plot. I wanted to show those houses that most captured the things that have stuck with me. They're when folks ask for examples, those are the ones that kind of pop into my mind first. Now, of course, there's way more plots and many more builders that I had hoped or would have loved to have showcased extra on that day. But again, I try to keep my streams around the 2-hour mark because that's about how long I can export out in comfortably in one go. And I didn't want to bog it down too much. But yeah, so it was a pleasure to do that with you guys last week. So it was kind of just a reminiscing recap kind of deal. But this week we're back to some places that we haven't seen before. Now, some of you may recognize some of this from some forum posts. This is called Kit Plantation by Kit Daywalker. If you visit my Twitch channel page in the resources section, at the very bottom of the list, there is a site linked to called Daywalker Customs. Daywalker has basically been offering up their services to build furniture and houses and full-blown plot things, I think, for other people. And if you go to that link, you will go to their actual website where they showcase all of their projects. I want to say they even have like some tips and tricks kind of stuff. They go into like some discussion about some of the stuff that they put together. And of course, I think there's either a contact information or a way to reach out to them. You can also reach them through the forums and, of course, in-game directly if you can message them via Daywalker. They've got many alts, I think. And you can commission some work for them. If you're on EU side, it would probably be smaller projects that could stay within the 250, 350 decor limit that the set codes, when you want to share a set code with someone, it has to be in a certain amount of decor. You could probably get something like that. Or make yourself an NA character and have them apply it on that side and then copy it over and bring it to the EU side. That's the only way I can think of doing it. Anyway, so yeah, it's a bit of an advertisement for them, but I strongly encourage folks to offer up their services like this because not everybody has the time to spend hours and hours and weeks and months putting together these lovely creations. So it's a really great benefit to the community for those that are willing to offer up their services in this way. Yes, a lot of them, or most of them, I should say, do require compensation of some sort, but that's not an unrealistic thing considering the cost of a lot of the items that go into it and the time involved and all of that kind of thing. But as far as I'm aware, they take commissions. You just, I guess, would assume you would provide them details of what you're looking for, and then they will provide you something along the lines of what your request is asking. So I don't know specifically if this is one of their show houses or what, but I come across it a while ago and it's been on my list, so I figured we'd take a look. I do want to show this. I think this is one of the newer fab kits. I think it's the jousting one. I don't really know the specific name of it, but I thought it was cute and we could go ahead and show it. You know, it's great for those that have the castle themes or just want to get into that kind of medieval setting with the jousting. Obviously, you could probably build up or use some of the animal NPCs to make it look like people are jousting or getting ready to. Um, but you can see it's a whole little kit. I don't know if it has like any kind of an achievement that comes with it. I have no clue. It's nice looking though. It's something though I think another person probably could come up with a similar build that's custom because it looks like it's just, you know, decking pieces and then, you know, everything else is pretty straightforward. Even the tables look like decking pieces. But the only thing that wouldn't be able to easily be pulled off is maybe the runners, the purple runners. You could use rugs or some of that the arcade uh, rugs type of decor for that. We've got some other pieces, maybe recoloring some of the backs of the pictures and stuff to make it look purpley. I don't know. But, and of course they have some of those nice little wooden barrels that we haven't gotten a hold of separately that I know of. But yeah, I thought it was kind of cute. As you can see, this plot's pretty much barren as far as, you know, landscaping goes. You can see they've showed a way that if one wants to kind of block off everything around, especially like the big metal chunks along the edges of the plot, that this is one way to do it. And in a nice way, they've kind of made it stair-stepped with the walls that they've put up. But the biggest feature, obviously, is the custom house that they have over here. And it does. It looks like one of those, you know, old mansions that you'd see in the southern states. Got those nice big columns. Trying to get an overall kind of round outlook. You can see they've mostly used glass, some pillars, and then the Oran floors for all of the wall bits. In the back is a little patio, like one of those fancy barbecuing setups that you see. The combination of Draken fencing, 2x4s. Looks like they're using what's it, airtight containers, I think, for the cabinets here with hammers for the handles. Go around on this side. And you see this got their Christmas tree up. Okay, let's come in through the front. We'll go on the bottom floor first. So I want to note that they do have a type of shutter set up for their windows. Now they're faux, so it doesn't actually, you know, you can't actually see in the window. But I like the idea of the custom shutters. There are the ones that you can get on the windows directly from the housing vendor, but those are on the expensive side, and uh, it's just nice to see different version. It's just basically using 2x4s, different sizes. Again, you can tell that if you are at a certain distance, the smaller panels don't show up as well. Part of that is they don't have a good contrast against the larger ones, but for screenshot purposes, you have to really kind of get in. Also, the lighting is a little funky. But I like the window treatments. They're using, again, the layered glass. The more layered the glass is, the whiter it becomes, so that frosted look can play into all the different designs. We've seen a lot of folks use them for tables, um, windows, doors, uh, floors even. We've seen staircases made out of the glass, so very versatile. And there's just so many different designs you can make out of it. See here up again, the windows up here. They've tried to make a nice little design, being able to block it in. So here we have in the corner a little reading nook. Again, the hollow domes are a big fave for those comfortable chairs. We've seen them where they're not only sitting like this on a little uh, foot, but sometimes they'll hang them from the ceiling with chains. I've seen a few where they're just kind of without the bottoms to them. But I think these are just domes upside down, and they're using that as the base. One trick, if you're piling in these pillows and you have a problem with them maybe sticking through, we've seen others just layer in the domes to thicken up the wall so that if they put a pillow inside, you don't see the tassels and stuff sticking out. They've simply avoided that mostly by making the pillow smaller. The little table lamps here, those are the fancy hanging lamps with a plate and a chua cup on top. I love how the lighting works in the housing so that you can get these little shadows where the windows are showing, so the pattern actually appears on the floor. I like that. But again, you can see how they layered in the glass differently and created this nice little pattern of motif or whatever you want to call it. Here we have a lovely open hearth and kind of cozy seating. So let's talk about the hearth first, I guess. Mostly it's Draken floors, some metal edged 2x4s. The fireplace itself is actually the Exile version. It's the blue one. As we've mentioned before, it's the most common one to be covered up. I don't know why most of us don't like the blue. I think it clashes, the color and the style of it clashes with most of the themes that we put it in, even though a lot of us like the holographic logs or whatever. So it tends to be the one that gets covered up the most. And that's the same in this case. Hey, Flood, good morning. I'm glad you could join us. The rest is pillars, and then, of course, the Draken urns. The tree is pretty simple. Usually we talk about holiday decorations during that specific holiday, but since it's here, it's basically just a tree with the string lights looped around and then candles. Simple, sweet, but still very cute. The table, again, is layered glass, and it looks like they're using curved glass that's been sunk into the ground as the legs for this table. It's kind of hard to get the right angle since it's so low to the floor, but there you go. You can see they're using it as the legs for the base. The chairs, these are quite nice. I think it's the first time I've seen pillars being the main focal of the construction of the chair itself. I've seen them used as the legs of the chairs, sometimes the arms, but not the back, I don't think. So this is pretty nice. So it's using the granite version of the pillars. The handles are, I think they wanted to use all blue things, so they've got the Chua pillows have been re-dyed or color shifted to a bluish purple, and they've got the striped pillow and then the rolled sleeping bags for the armrests, which I think is a really nice touch. It makes it look like I don't know, some antique piece of furniture. That's what it looks like to me. I love those chairs. Those are really nice. The little dining table, just some benches, and then they just edged it with pillows. The table is really cute. It's basically a framed glass piece, and then they're using more framed glass for the base, and then added a little bit of decoration by laying in the 2x4s for like a little, I don't know, almost reminds me of popsicle sticks. A really cute design for that. Over here we have the kitchen area. It's mostly staircase landings for the cabinets and the countertops, hammers for all of the doors. Um, you got 2x4s here for some of the shelving, an oversized plate for the sink. The faucet itself is the handle of the hammer, and then the top of one of those, I think it's one of the orange bottles. It's just really oversized to make it look like one of those push type of things where the water would come out. I love this little uh, shelving here. It's a lot of glass, slightly slanted to kind of match with the roof that's been made out of 2x4s. And then the little cabinet for the silverware. They have, I don't know if it's meant to be like a drawer that's been pulled out or what. Again, 2x4s, Oran floors. I think this is to represent the oven here. It's just a piece of layered glass on top of what appears to be the graded floor panel, I think. This here is, of course, the empty trophy cabinet. They've pushed it down so you don't see that bottom thing with the two doors that are kind of like half open. They just pushed it down so you just have the top part, and then they added some glass to make it look like some cabinetry with the hammers at the handles again. I guess this is supposed to represent the fridge, maybe. This has got food in there, or kind of a little pantry shelf. Cabinet here, again, staircase landings. The staircase itself is pillars for both, well, for the stairs themselves, 2x4s it looks like for the railing, and then topped with the Merg explosives as decoration. With a little bit of Oran bits here and there for the greenery. This here, the display case, is just domes, curved glass. Really simple, but it's a nice way of kind of showcasing a special item you want to show off. Be the bathroom. So here we have a custom, I think it's supposed to be a custom toilet. Trying to get the green to go away. So it's Merg explosives for the base, a stool so someone can actually sit on the toilet, a bowl for the lid, and then an upside down, I think it's the short bottle with a hammer for the handle, the flusher. Same way with the dispenser for the toilet paper, it's hammers again. Similar setup as the kitchen for the sinks. Here's a lovely little aquarium that they've set up. It's topped with the graded floor panels, layered glass for the water look, They've got files lined up along the wall to make it look like bubbles coming up. Of course, the bubbles themselves are coming from the, I think it's the spore tree or spore bush or something. It's one of those plants that you get from, I think it was it Shades Eve, I think. The fish are the med kits with bowls for the eyes and then hover part pieces for the fins. I don't know what kind of fish it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's like angelfish or something because it's got the stripe or something. I'm not sure. 2x4s and staircase landings for the base. And of course, using the animated plants help the illusion that there's water moving it around. I've seen some get as complicated as actually adding in like a water pump kind of contraption. Some actually add pebbles to the ground to make it look like those little, those little aquarium pebbles that they have. Fishy fish. It could be. I don't know. I'm sure there's, some type of goldfish or something. But I thought that was cute. I've tried making fish myself, and it's not very easy. I think Aurora come up with some really great techniques for like fish paintings, having them up against the wall. But yeah, these are pretty cute. The tub is an oversized water trough, and then they're using the file and let me see if I can get it close and see what that is. Looks like the bottoms of glasses for the knobs. Here we have the master bedroom. And right off you see a little painting kind of thing that they've set up. It's almost like a shadow box version just because of the way they've got it. It's like 3D kind of. It's like a little garden scene. You've got the bench, the rocks, the flowers, and a little birdhouse. Just another approach to some kind of artwork. Again, notice the window treatments. The bed is mostly 2x4s, Cassian pillars. They're using one of those, I don't know, is it Pell or Falcon? It's one of the fences, I think, for a little bit of decoration on the back, which is a little creepy, but because it's got like the skull and stuff on there. But then sleeping bags, which look like they have been dyed a bit for the mattress coverings. Notice the canopy is, again, a layered glass design. They really love the different designs. It kind of matches the windows here. Almost looks like, kind of like a very uh, basic type of like a flower, a rose kind of look here. The nightstand, of course, is looks like hover part pieces and staircase landing with hammers for the handle. Private bath for the master bedroom. Similar setup. This one comes with a shower. Plates for the knobs. Hammers for the piping of the shower head, and then a Redmond vent. A little sitting space. Again, they haven't overdone the color shifting. They've just done it here and there, just little bits. And that just goes to show you don't have to color shift everything to make it all special and different. You see they've written their name. It's kind of hard to see this way because it blends so well. You can see it's got Kit written there. 2x4s. That takes you to the upper balcony area. They've got some nice little seats here, little loungers, just decking pieces and the fencing for the armrests. The little flower beds here are nice. You can see it's 2x4s and then just thrown in different stones. And there's lots of gaps. You know, you can still see the wood beneath it, but nice pillars of flowers. They've color shifted some to change their look a little different. Like these are the yellow flowers, but they've been shifted to pinkish red. Same way here. And then these are the actual loungers, I guess. Those are like patio chairs, and these are the loungers. Again, same stuff. All they've basically done is add an extra bit here for the feet. Another bedroom. You can see they've attempted to make their own wall decorations. So I'm not sure what this is supposed to be other than just plants, some kind of greenery. The bed is similar to the other one, other than it doesn't have a canopy, and it's actually got more of a a headrest, I guess. I don't know what you call it, headboard, something like that, decorated with lights, but it's mostly I think it's the metal-edged blocks. And then I guess this is supposed to be like, I don't know, a map or something, or not really sure. Pillows, files, I think that's the frozen water. I really don't know what that's supposed to represent, but it's, you know, some kind of covering for the artwork. Notice how they've solved how this doesn't fit, and maybe they didn't want to put an extra wall a different size. They just put those slats there slightly different so that, you know, as you look solid, but then it's for ventilation or something. I don't know. But in here we have the kitties' room with the bunk beds. We've done bunk beds before. It's the same bed that was in the room we were just in. They just doubled it and added some pillars for the pairing. Yeah, I think way back I did a bunk bed challenge, and it was pretty interesting to see all the different things people were putting together for that. Let's see, did we ever? Okay, I think we've seen all of the upstairs now. Okay, so that just leaves us with the bunker house. Now, the bunker house, I think, is part showroom and part test room, if that makes sense. You'll see what I mean when we get in here. So you can see they're advertising their Daywalker Customs. I don't know if there's actually a character named Daywalker Customs, and then they're saying that there's more to be found there. But it's like a little advert. So this is like, I consider this like a showroom where they show some of the things that they put together. So like here's a little, it could be taken as an actual seating inside of a lobby, or maybe it's one of those bay windows. You could imagine that this would be like the corner of a house or the edge of you know, an interior for a living room, and then the walls would extend out, and this would be like a little bay window. It's just hover part pieces, metal edge 2x4s, curved glass, and then the pillows. Here's those loungers that we saw upstairs, but over here we have an example of a swing chair made similarly. Here's an example of the bed, again, that we saw upstairs. But then they've elaborated and modified to make this cabinet. It looks like it's the staircase landings for each little layer. And then I want to say it's a travel poster for the front, and then hammers, and then they're using the icicles, and then they've made a bed out of the, well, it's not the icicle, I think it's the glacier spike or something that it's called, and they've made this round design, added in the snow clumps, great for a ice palace or some kind of a princess room or something. I can imagine this being, add some flowers and stuff, and it'd be a great like loungy place for some Oran. Here we have some hover part pieces being turned into like a sectional. Over here, they've delved into the idea of the pool tables. We've seen many examples of those, lots of ways to put them together. This is their version, so they're using the sparking wires as the sticks, tipped with files for the rest of the balls, upside down glasses for the holes or the pockets. It looks like the backs of the, what's it called? The tablet computers, I think, for the backs of this, or it could be the graded floor panels, and they've maybe dyed them because they don't look as dark as they normally would. Or it could just be the lighting in here that changes the look of it. But then metal edge 2x4s for the rest. Again, with the pool tables, we've seen a lot go into the extreme of having like a little tray where the balls collect. You can see here they've got the little triangle, the little rack thing that you round them up the balls. It's just 2x4s. I've seen other uses of that, seen where they've had it hanging on a hook or something like that. Over here they've got, looks like a bowling alley set up. They've got the color shifted domes. Now it looks like it's just the dome, but it's the way it's colored, the choice that they use the granite version, it almost has an optical illusion as if it just goes down inside when it actually is just the bowl there. Hover part pieces, Oran floors and triangles. Yeah, I think it's the graded floor panels that they're using for this part here. Bananas for the little marks. And then Merg dynamite for the pins, which I think is clever because it's the perfect shape. Here we have a little cabinet. You can see it's graded floor panel for the top and the bottom. Looks like Oran walls for the back and part of this front bit here. And then 2x4s, and then bottle handles for the handles of the drawers. And then the cabinet itself is decorated not only with layered glass, but also the 2x4s for that little fancy inlay decoration. I don't know what you want to call it. Now this I saw from their website. I think this has been actually produced for Another plot. Again, I think this is like a showcase of some of the things they come up with the ideas, they put them together here, and then they get moved somewhere else. This is a lovely little fountain. It's I think it's the winding rivers for the water down below. They've just layered it up so it fills it all in. Then using a combination of domes, both upside down and over, to make this like almost like a beehive shape. And then the Oran fencing for trim and decoration up here, and then just added the little hugel topper. This is pretty interesting, using the glass as a bit of like an artwork. It's actually got a little, you can see the water coming out from the fire extinguisher through the little trough made out of 2x4s and pouring down the water, the glass pillar. I thought it was interesting, and they of course have it underlit with a lamp. Very pretty. It'd be great for a building office space, like maybe someone's got a fancy hotel or something. That would be a good centerpiece for the lobby. Here's another example of a kind of an artwork type of deal. If you don't want to do an aquarium or a terrarium, this is one way to kind of just add some decorations. This, I have no idea what this is supposed to be. It's a chandelier with, again, it looks like they were playing with those glacier pieces, and they've just repeated it to make this. I don't know if it's supposed to be a plant, some kind of strange cactus looking thing, or what. The table is that Draken shield. I call it a pillow because it looks like a cushy pillow. Um, it's inset onto that round brown table. It comes in the starter kit when you first get your housing plot, and then a cylinder for the base. Over here, the little like lounger couch thing, it's benches, pillars, and pillows. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be some kind of a flower because that's like the center where the pollen, I guess, would be, but I really don't know. This little table, hover part pieces, 2x4s, and a piece of glass. Hover part pieces and such for this little lounging area. Here's an example of that hanging chair that I said. Again, if you're bothered by the tassels hanging out, the best solution to that is to just add in a couple more of the domes and just size them down so that it makes the wall thicker, and then you won't have them sticking out like that. Here's some Draken themed furniture using the shelves, the bookshelves, or just Draken shelves, I guess. It's using the fence posts, shelves, and then the purple pillows. This table here is using the same concept as that table over there, but using smaller versions as the base, and then topping it with the glass. Looks like these two are the urns. Again, using that same piece and using it like a almost like a weird little sun. Draken version of the bed and bed cabinet. You can see the spears as a little bit of decoration. Color shifting the sleeping bags to a nice brown. Galeras stone wall for the headboard. And of course the fence. Just shelves, pillars, travel poster. And then here, I'm not sure what they were playing with. Maybe a mini greenhouse type of thing. It could be the beginnings of like um, an underwater walkway where you would see water all around here. You know, if you have an underwater plot and you want to make it look like there's a glass tunnel to get from one building to the next, this could be something like that. It could be who knows what. But I like the idea of it having just slightly angled top. Again, I think it's just them experimenting with it. Even the railing here is a little interesting. They don't follow the edges. They just kind of buckle it here and there. That is Kit Plantation. Again, I'm not sure if it's strictly a showroom or a show house, but I know that on their website they list uh, various plots of not only theirs but others that they have actually done commission work. So if you're interested in seeing some more examples of Kit's work, you can check out their website via the link that's on my Twitch channel page. You can see another little advertisement sign. They're using 2x4s, bananas, bowls. There's a cup and then the bottle. Anyway, fun stuff. It's great to check out their plots because again, they do a lot of they focus a lot not just on custom houses but on the custom furniture. So even if you're not interested in having a full house built, you know, maybe you just want a new bed for your character's bedroom, or you've been trying to come up with a way to do a porch around a prefab home, I'm sure they would be able to help you out with a little discussion between you about prices and stuff like that. Okay, so the next and final house for today is, whoops, spelled that wrong. Angel Fire Heart Song, called Angel Fire Falls. And you can see that they've covered up the entrance. It looks like with stones. There's a little bit of the taurine decorations, some obsidian stuff. I'm not sure what stone this is in particular, or if it even is a stone. It's really kind of hard to see. But then they've added in the greenery just to kind of make it look a little different. It's hard to cover up that entrance as much as we'd like to. This part with the greenery, you can see the white puffs of snow that pop up. That's because it's actually an upside down snowy hill. It's one of the tricks that builders use to add elevations to the land when they want to change things up. The water here, I think it is one of those upside down chalices, just because I'm able to actually sink into the water. The steam itself, though, I believe is one of those blue flares, just because of how it looks and how it moves. There are different kinds of smokes and such that you can get from the game shop, but I don't think any of them produce this type of steamy animation. Pretty sure that's the blue flare working there. Yeah, most of this appears to be obsidian stone that they've got. That's what the bridge is made out of. And then they've got the little candles. They've got it in lots of places around here. It's the urns with the candle on top. Decking pieces for the base or center of the bridge. and it appears to be mostly the older waterfall, so I don't know if they've just chosen not to update it with the newer stuff. Because again, if you've already had an existing water feature and then you wanted to incorporate the new waterfalls, a lot of folks found that they had to rework things considerably to kind of match the elevation and the shapes and everything. So this may have been built before those became available. Or they might have just not wanted to use the shop vendor one, but you can see it's the old style waterfalls with the winding rivers for the base of it. Same way here, it's just oversized. I'm sure there's probably a lot of sound effects going on with the rushing water sound. I don't have my sound on, so I can't hear it myself, but now I don't really talk about the NPCs too much. If you're into having that, then I'm sure you can find information about where to obtain them and stuff. I usually just kind of skip that part because generally speaking, those come from cash shop ventures or special rewards from like dungeons and raids and stuff. I don't think we have, I don't think there's any that are actually purchasable from the vendor except maybe the daily login rewards, the welders. Is those the only ones directly from the housing vendor? Can't really remember. So again, any of the greenery that you see uh, likely is the snowy hills. You can see the white. If you don't see white puffs, it's more brown puffs, and that's the upside down massive umbrella tree. But those are less common these days because they're typically on the rare side, and uh, it's just easier for builders to use the snowy hills. There are the Protostar Insta Hills that you can get from the housing game shop vendor thingy. Um, and those have the luxury of being able to be a little bit more contoured rather than this flat kind of plateau looking thing. But you know, it just depends on what you're looking for. So they're using a lot of the not Easter, spring decor with the fences. You can tell those are from the spring decor pack because they're straight fences. The ones that you can craft through architecture are a little bit more wonky looking. Same way with the arches. And you'll notice that they've had to oversize them quite a bit, and that's because the way that these are made, the spacing between the two vines here is such that the collision doesn't allow them to use these at a smaller size, which is kind of unfortunate, but you can see how people have managed to, you know, ignore it, the fact that they have to size them up so much. Um, it's just an unfortunate side effect to having collision built into certain items. You know, it's like the obsidian little donut of stone that they have, the centerpiece being solid, so you, no matter how big you make it, you can't walk through it. It's just a side effect of the collision that's built into that particular item. You'll see that they're using, I think these are the um, Macari pillars, and they're using them as little flower pots. I don't know, kind of hard to tell, but I think they're using upside down snowy hills here as well because the greenery matches the greenery here. And then they've layered a little bit of grass in and then added the spring flowers, so it makes it like a nice pretty fit. Over here they've used some of the fences to make their own sort of an arch and then thrown in the chains and pillows to make a little swing. Over here, their version of the fountain. Again, it doesn't come with the water. A lot of people will, some actually go to the extreme of adding in as many waterfalls as it takes to make the water go all the way around. Others do it more simply like this one where it's just pouring off to one side. Here's another little swing out of pillows and chains. Over here we have a little bit more fancy seating area. It's I want to say it's the base of one of the stones, but I have no idea which one. It could be the base of one of the fence posts, bottom of a tree maybe. It looks more like stone than tree, but I can't say for sure. The seats themselves are Galeras stone walls with pillows, and then the Oran fence post is decoration. Layered glass for the little centerpiece here. And then I think this part here, the little tray that the teapot is on, is the base of one of the goblets or wine glasses. Over here we have a little painter's set where somebody's painting an outdoor scene. They're using color shifted snow clumps to make it look like blobs of paint. Mops for the paint brushes. 2x4s for the easel. And again, the cups being used as where they wash the brushes out in the water. Over here we have a little bit of a playground area. So you have the slide. It's 2x4s, staircase landing it looks like, ladder, and then curved walls for the slide itself. I think this is supposed to be like one of those little monkey bars kind of thing where they crawl on it and hang from it and everything. Here you have the merry-go-round. It's just a plate with some Orem bits. And then the little animation here, I think that's the portable holograph, the round one. Here you have, what's that called? The teeter-totters. It's just metal edge 2x4s, hammers for the little handles for the kids to grab onto, and then you teeter-totter back and forth. Again, to get this little slope, that's just multiples of the upside down snowy hill. Notice all the stones for the stairs even. Here you have another little water deal. This is, I think it's the Osun Basin. All right, Bones, you have a good day. Thank you for dropping by. Yeah, I think it's an Osun Basin of some sort. I forget what this is called. And then just multiples of the either domes or cylinders, and they've colored them differently to make it a nice little design. There's another little bench using some of the Draken fencing for the base, Hugels, and then the Galeras stone wall. Nice use of all the plants, the flowers, the overgrowth. Even here, this part here, that's snowy hills that have been leaned up. So it makes it look like a little bit of a mound of ground over here on this side. Again, major water feature here. You've got multiple waterfalls, sources where the water is coming in. It pulls here and then it pours down into this little divot. So you can see how they really play up with the obsidian stones. Like it's almost ruins of mountains or something that this place has been built into. Again, not overly done with the overgrowth. It's just here and there, just little places to note that it's, you know, some bits of moss and such. You can see the entrance areas off behind here. That's the bridge we went over to. So the little park kind of area with the gardens and stuff is up here. Excuse me. Over here we have a glass bridge, just curved glass together. They get another little seating area, more water bits. I like how they're using the keyhole windows as the source for the water this time. Come past here. They're using, I think it's just the snowy hills here, but they've recolored them a little bit of a yellowish brown to make it look like sand. So you have a little beach party going on this side. This is using a lot of the summer decor with the beach towels and the Barbie. And then here they're using another one of those blue flares to make it almost look like a heated pool type of area here. Now, if you're wondering about these little sparkles, that I think is to represent like the splashback of where the water is landing into itself and causing a little bit of splash of water. That's the buoyant blue crystal. They've just sunk it down so you don't see the crystal itself. It's the same item. Let's see. I think they have a pair over here. You'll see they use them in any place that the water would have a little bit of a splash. It's an effect, a lot of people like it for Shades Eve. It kind of looks like little will-o-wisps or spirits floating around. Yeah, it's way over here. It's that thing there, the little buoyant blue crystals. If you look closely, you can see the sparkles. And what it is they just oversize it, push it down until just the sparkles themselves show to get that little wispy stuff. It's great for dark or dimly lit forests, again, for that will-o-wisp look. For water, a lot of folks use it for like the waterfalls and stuff. Now over here, if you look, you can see they use the newer waterfalls. These are the ones with the fancier animation. If I can get over here. And another bench here. Let's see if I can get view here. You can see the difference, the color, even the animation it has. It comes with its own smoky effects and a little bit of water coming at the bottom. So it's really nice, but from what I understand from those that have used it, it's really tough to get the rocks and stuff to line up. You can see they've done a fantastic job here. It just looks very natural. Having the overgrowth and such to be able to cover up any flaws that might be visible, maybe the The flatness isn't exactly the same as on the stone, so you can cover up any kind of issues that you might have there. See if I can get higher. Ah, that wasn't very good. And I don't think I can get much higher than this. I'm super lame at jumping, so it's no wonder. But yeah, great great scene there. I'm sure they probably would love to be able to get uh, some of the flat water that looks similar to this to blend it better. But as it is, it's a fantastic job. Okay, for the main part of this structure, it's mostly Macari bits for the pillars. There's Draken pillars here. You can see they use some of the golden arrows for trim. Um, Lots of pillars for the stairway and for this little bracketry here. And then I think it's curved walls for this decoration. I'm sure it has some special significance in the way it's the design is made, some kind of Trinity thing or whatever. But this gives you access to the bunker house. You can either mouse over it or just get close enough and the button will pop up. We'll go to there shortly. Um, the base here, again, we've seen this used in some of the houses we visited recently for some of the cabinets and stuff. It's the bottom side of the cellar entrance. For whatever reason, the texture on it is stretched or it's an incomplete kind of working of the item itself. And it has this lovely pattern that a lot of people have found to work great as floors. I've seen them use it as walls, um, cabinets, tables, you name it, it's been used for. It's a really fascinating looking little design. So then you can see they went crazy with the waterfalls here for this feature that surrounds the spiraling staircase. Layered glass patterns here, diamonds here. This looks more like a flower. They've even used the different colors, so this looks more rosy. Back here you see some other designs. Looks like almost like a cross, and then maybe planets with a sun or something. I'm not sure. Snowflakes, I don't know. But again, it just gives you an example of how the layering the glass can really, depending on how you do it, can change the look of something pretty considerably. These in particular are using the unframed glass rather than the framed glass, which is interesting. You'll see the design on the ceiling. Those are the Winterfest fences. Notice how they've decorated these benches up. It's just 2x4s with the orange fencing to make it look like a really natural looking fence. How they're using the topiaries is fun. Another window designs over here. This would be great for if you're looking for some kind of like a stained glass window for your church or something. This is a good idea for the little cross. The center of the staircase, I believe, is one of the exotic decor. I think it's one of the tables, or maybe it's an oversized stool. It could be one or the other. Then they're using, it's kind of based on that, I don't remember the name exactly, but it's one of those canopy pieces. You can actually, if you size it up enough, you can walk on this part and go up it. Um, and what they've done is they use that as like the center pole of the staircase, and then use the Oran fence posts as the steps, as the spiral spine here. Here's that canopy part. The whole thing is that centerpiece there. A little bit of layered glass for the connector of the staircase to the edge here, which I believe they're just using an oversized pairing of arches to make this hole here. So you've got a raised bit that's Oran walls or floors, or the little, what do you call it, dais or podium or whatever. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a pool of sacred water or something, since it's been colored blue, but it's like uh, I'm not sure what's making this little center, this edging here. I think it's the bottom of a goblet because of the base here, and then they've just added in a dome and colored it blue, and then laid in the little shield, which looks like a floating pillow to me. Some of this is exonite stuff. Over here you have a lovely little table with some drinks. Notice the layered unframed glass being used on top of the framed glass. Curved glass for the base of the table. Look at the little picture, not picture, but pitcher. It's a glass with more glasses as the spout, hammers for the handle, and then the topper is a bowl. A nice use of the color shifting to make it look like different kinds of drinks. Over here you got a number of benches and chairs. It's basically looks like 2x4s, pillows, and then Oran fencing for the backs and armrests. Turn this little thing into a little seating area. You've got one of the round tables, I think, and they've draped it with the white drapes. Using one of the portraits, I think it's the one with the guy with the red eye. Just turned it upside down to make it look like a tray for the wine glasses and such. But I like how they turned it in kind of like a little VIP or personal room. Here they've even used pillars and candles to make a little nice little arrangement. Over here, more sitting area. Notice how they're using the urns. The urns don't have an actual opening up here. They've just covered it with bushes and some of those snow flowers you get from Arctera to make it like a little nice little arrangement of plants. Excuse me. And then lastly, the little place where the food is. Not only do I want to point out again the little table itself, but also the cake. If I can get a good angle on this thing. It's a number of things from what I can tell. It looks to be um, a tire for the base, a cylinder for the top part, and I suspect some like granite domes for the center layer. And then they've just been tinted or color shifted to make it look like more icing-y looking flavors. Files for the little pearl decorations, and then layered glass for the icing on top. And then a candle, of course. There. We've seen a lot of foods, and it's always fun to see other folks come up with different types. We've seen anything from puddings and pies and cakes and cookies and uh, all sorts of stuff. So it's always fun to see new versions. You can tell 10 different people to make a cake, and there will be 10 different cakes that you get. Last but not least is the bunker house. And you can see how they've completely changed the doorway here. You'll notice that this place is primarily the exonite walls and pillars. You see they've got this serves a purpose actually. We've seen before when you cover up the doors, if you get too close, there's no button that pops up. There's no method to get out. But if you walk right onto the little spot here, that's when it pops up. You just have to be a certain distance. I'm not sure why that is, but I thought that was a clever way of them indicating this is where you stand to get out. Um, I thought that was nice of them to do that. So we'll go to the lower floor first. You can see that they've got the waterfalls coming off the top here into this little water area. I think they've done some color shifting on the water as well, because I don't remember any water thing that we have that's this turquoise looking. Um, and I like how it matches the door over here. But yeah, I think it's just regular waterfalls that have been color shifted from their ugly gray to this pretty blue. Again, just pretending that these are potted areas where you can put these plants. And you'll notice that the walls themselves actually give off a weird kind of light, so it can be pretty blinding. I'm glad that they used it semi-sparingly in this place because it is really, really bright. But let's just start over here, I guess. Here we have a couch made out of the exonite. You got the pillars on either side with the dead escape windows, and then the walls being used as the base, and then topped with the cushions. You can see they're done similarly for the chairs here, the loungers. It's just walls, exonite walls for all of that. Again, they match it so that it looks the same. The base of this table is one of those, I think it's called the technophage emitter, the one that a lot of folks like to use in their disco halls and karaoke bars and things like that because it has this light coming out. It has animated parts and that kind of thing. In this case, they're using it as the base of the table. Again, layered glass to make a nice little pattern. The fireplace, I believe, is using some of that decor from the Dominion uh, set that comes from the cash shop. It comes with some of the fencing and walls and such, and they've turned it into their version of a Dominion style fireplace. I don't know the names of the pieces, but I'm sure you can figure it out if you go to the cash shop. You can see the housing. Yeah, Dominion Builder's Kit. A lot of these parts you see being used. Speaking of the decor packs. They do have a new one. It's got some of that Mordash decor that we saw in the files a while back. You can see the ripped portrait here. There's the sofa, several chairs, side table, the stools, the lamps, like a weird flower. It's a really nice set, not too expensive. So if you haven't checked that out yet, be sure and take a look. Again, it's the Exile fireplace, the blue one. You see a little bit of that here. And they've just chosen to cover it up with the Dominion pieces. Here we have a really fancy dining table. Again, this is the power of that layered glass. They just went overboard and it comes out to this like kaleidoscope looking design. It's really pretty, but and probably with the use of Katya's Builder Toolkit add-on, it's a breeze to make, but I know there's probably a lot of people that will be able to do that just by hand, by figuring out the coordinates and stuff, and make it look just as pretty. So don't feel like you have to use KBT, but it does make the job easier. I think this is just curved glass, I want to say, for this part, but I'm not for positive. Then you can see more of the exotic decor for parts of the kitchen. The kitchen itself is pretty simple. You've got 2x4s, additional 2x4s here, file or some type of file for the handles here. Got the ship hand locker for the refrigerator, hammers for the handles. I like how they're using the little ships as like magnets to hold up stuff on the fridge. You can see they're using some of the beach towel, the summer decor for the towel here, pillars for the little bracket, a combination of bowls and plates for the sink here. The spout for the faucet itself is, I think it's called the L-shaped pipe. It comes from the Palavar Point Daily that you can get. And then this, I think, is, I want to say it's bottles, maybe 2 of them to make that little ridgy knob, my guess. The little rack here that they're using for drying the plates, that's really just an Exile shelf. The one that kind of looks like teeth on the bottom. The little hooks for the pans are the Osun chain links. And then, of course, foreign floors for the cabinet doors. They've even gone to the trouble of adding pillars for the little brackets. A lot of people don't get into that amount of detail, but yeah. The little vent or rug thing here, that's the graded floor panel. They've just sunk it down a little bit so that you don't see the all of it. Just you see the grading and the trim here. I like the little stepping stool they've made for us shorties. The little silverware dispenser, they're using the weather vane for that. Thought that was cute. Looks like possibly salt and pepper shakers, maybe. Hammers, that Draken shield thing, and then cylinders. Now the lighting here is so bright, it's really hard to make out, but yeah, I don't think there's anything super significant there. They've got the knife block here. It's just 2x4s with the various knives using the ice blocks for ice blocks. Again, good use of the color shifting to make it look like different bottles of stuff. The little food cart here is just metal tables. It's 2 with the legs end to end. And then pillars for the handle there. Back here is their little secret spy office. I don't know what it's supposed to be. It's some Dominion scanners, the laser scanner here for the entryway, um, some of the Macari table and lamps and such. Again, this little entryway here is more of that Dominion decor set. I guess I should mention this here too. This is one of the, I want to say it's one of the daily login rewards, like on the latter end. And they've just turned it into kind of like a moving wall art. So there's several of them together making this little weird display. I have no idea what it's supposed to represent, but there you go. Here we have more of a living room type of sitting area. Again, this is part of that exotic decor. The drinks come from the summer decor pack, if you're curious about that. Notice the little window decoration here. It looks like a framed cross of some sort. It's just, again, one of the Draken pillows, shields. I keep calling it a pillow because it looks like a pillow, people. And then layered unframed glass for the design. Again, little displays like this is perfect for throwing in those things you're not sure where they might go or they just don't fit the theme. So they've got some leprechaun stuff, they've got spaceship stuff, they've got Shades Eve decorations. Up here, this is a mask that comes as is, but they've given it a pretty frame. It's just travel posters that have been reshifted or color shifted to add a little bit of decoration, and it kind of matches the colors sort of the mask itself. It's a really pretty way of displaying it. The waterfall, this is one of the newer waterfalls using vases, a vase for the water source, stones, and then Draken fencing for the part here. The desk is exonite walls again, framed glass. The datascape windows. I like how they're using the taurine ladies as little flower beds. Again, Draken fencing for the stairs here and for the walls. This, I think, is the upside down part of it, the bottom of it, for that darker color. And then again, using some of the exotic decor for the setting here. Now, the couch itself, as far as I'm aware, still has no collision whatsoever. So you can actually walk right through it. But because they've added the pillows, it gives some collision to it so that you can actually use the couch as a couch. You don't have the actual prompt to actually interact with it like you do normal seats and stuff, but you can use the sit emote to actually sit on the pillow. So that's, I've seen others do the same thing. I've seen some use 2x4s to kind of line it on there. I've seen a few use some of like the metal shelves that work nicely. If you don't want it to be visible, you could probably just use a couple of pieces of glass, unframed glass, and just to make it solid, and then you could use it as an actual couch. Over here, they've used some of the hedges that you can get from the cash shop to create a little gardeny area with some of the overgrowth hanging down, the habanero blooms and the droopy gorge fruit. This little thing, that's that soul frost well from Arctera. It'd be great for like you're doing a Snow White uh, theme with the mirror on the wall kind of deal. And then of course you have this door leading you back out to where we started. The last part is the upstairs. Now, in the beginning, I was a little freaked out because I thought maybe they hadn't finished the stairs, but it took me a minute to realize there's actually glass there for the little ramps going up. But in the beginning, I was like, uh-oh, maybe I'm stumbled upon an unfinished deal, but there's actually glass there. So that brings us to the upstairs. You've got this waterfall element here. The water is actually being used as like the canopy for this little seating area. Where they come, grab a snack. Just a pair of Draken walls for the table here. Here we have another version of those dome seats. Usually they don't have the little capper, but this one does. So it makes it look like, you know, these come with installed speakers and little lights and stuff. So it's really comfy looking. Again, a lot of color shifting here for not only the walls, but the carpeting and other decorations you'll see. Here's the luxury bathroom. A lot of exonite being used for this. The smoke here, I think, again, is from the blue flare. And then just waterfalls for the water here and on the bottom. Using those wine bottles or cups or something for the handles. The little flower pillar here. Remember that there's two versions on the housing vendor, and you want to aim for the cheaper one. Domes for the little flower vases here for the overgrowth. For the sinks here, it's just bowls, red moon vents, pillars, and then bottles. For little vanity lights, it's just, again, it's the files being used as those. For the little shower room here, I guess is what it is. It looks like the hookah things with a little smoke coming out. Again, bottles for the handles. I guess this is where you get changed. Get a little wardrobe and stuff. Bedroom. So over here we have another little painting. Again, it's the back of that portrait, and then they were using that with in combo with the travel poster as the back or base of the painting. Various plants, little bench, pair of hugels, some colored 2x4s for the grass. Looks like the top of one of those mushroom plants for the moon. Same principle with the seats. It's oran fencing for the armrests and back of the chair. 2x4s. It looks like just a little frame for the base. For the fireplace, looks like they're using I think it's called the lopstone fireplace. as the base of it, and then they've covered it up with Draken arches and curved walls and floors. A little bit of that rusty fencing stuff, orange shelf for part of the mantle up here, 2x4s and recolored granite walls, I think. Up here, that's the fancy, or maybe it's ornate Orin pillar. It's just the base of it. So it kind of looks like little hearts, and they've just used that as a decoration all the way across. It's the same thing here. It's this thing. And they're using it up here. It kind of helps match it up with the rest of the furniture. So it's the ornate pillar and then 2 layers of glass for this little table shelf thing. The bed is just a super giant pillow with Orin fencing to basically the seats, but oversized. Notice they took the time to actually fill in the closets and then added a little full-length mirror. It's just a window with the Hugo portraits behind it to make the framework. And then a nice little wardrobe display, just arches and hover park pieces and pillars. This little design here, I honestly am not for positive what that is. I don't know if it's Winterfest fencing or what, but it's really pretty. And then they've added the glass, framed glass over top to make it look like a framed artwork. Same way here. Again, it looks like the Winterfest fencing, just arranged differently to make a different pattern. And then it's got one of the little Sofrost bits in the center. Over here, a little gaming corner. Again, using the color shifting in a nice way, they've layered it up, slightly shifted each, and it makes a really nice little pattern. But I think this is supposed to be what, the 3D chess or something. You got the different layers. It's using travel posters for the dark squares and then just the layered, the framed glass for each bit, and that's the white blocks, I guess. Another bedroom. This one a little bit more Draken-y looking. Again, it's that exile holographic fireplace, but it's blocked in, so it's got the Chua pillars for most of it. Golden arrow. For this little candelabra thing that they've got going on here, that's a combination of the I want to say fancy bar. That's not what it's called. This is the fancy bar. I know there's a different name for it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's pillars here, like 2 or 3 of them for this center column, and then lots for the bottom, and then more pillars for each little candle thing, topped with a glass, and then using the Draken gongs as decoration. I can't think of what that is. It's not fancy, it's something else. But really detailed as far as decoration goes there. Using this one as their personal bar. I like how they've made this little vanity table out of a combination of the exotic cabinet topped with one of those empty bars to make it a single piece of furniture there. Using 2x4s and color shifted drapes to make it look like different clothes hanging in there, and then the exotic dividers for the doors of their wardrobe dilly. The bed itself is from the Valentine collection. Again, the base is 2 pillars, and then adding in a lot of those nice drapes, it makes for a really luxurious looking bedroom. And then a final bedroom, the kiddies room. You've got the little slide poles that the kids can slide down, I guess, when they're ready to come out of the bed. It's mostly 2x4s for the construction with 2 pillows as the cushions or mattresses. Trying to see what else they got here. They got a little rock climbing wall, little hammock thing going on. Looks like they made a little rideable speedster here using one of the ships. Added a little lever controller and some tires. There's a dollhouse underneath. So lots of detail in this, right down to the sink and the tub, kitchen, the living room. Lots of detail there. A little reading area up here. Most of this is decking pieces, some of the rope bridges. Underneath is the desk. Again, decking pieces, exile floors. I forget where that fence comes from. I don't know if that's vendor straight or from a dungeon drop or something. And then their little gaming area. Again, it's the Macari table chairs. They got it leaned back so you don't see the legs and it just looks like the little gaming controls there. Again, fun use of the color shifting to add variety to different things. Okay, I think that about covers it for upstairs and down. So yeah, that's Angel Fire Falls by Angel Fire Heartsong. Really lovely place. A lot of great ideas, both big scale and small scale. Great use of items as far as using them in ways you wouldn't normally expect. So if you're looking for some inspiration, especially if you're on NA side, be sure and drop by in person and take a closer look. Again, screenshots and videos and such can only do so much. It really pays off to come and visit these places in person if you get an opportunity to do so. So that's it for this week, guys. I hope you had fun. Join us next week for some additional tours. Again, we do this every Wednesday between the hours of 8 and 11. It's usually pretty much 8 on the dot. I was a little late this morning because of the issues with the sound and stuff, but yeah, we look to be doing this for as long as there are homes to visit and new things to see. We will continue doing this until, you know, there's no more to look at. Have I been on PTR this week? No, I have not. I've been meaning to, and I just keep getting sidetracked with other things. Um, at this rate, I'm not even sure if I'm going to bother because by the time I get in, they'll probably be removing it. But I haven't updated, gosh, in a long while, so I imagine it's going to take a while to get that to download even. So I'm not sure if I'm really willing to bother with it. I've been following along with the feedback that's been getting posted in the forums, though. So it's sounding positive. I mean, there's still some issues, I think, that are fairly significant, but I think with the sneak peek of the communities and stuff, the communities feature, I think the next time it comes out, they will have ironed out a lot of that, hopefully, knock on wood. Yeah, it's like they have a The way I understand it for the communities is like 5 builders come together in a community, and then they have like a communal space. The issue I've been hearing though is that, say you have the 5 builders and then you place an item on the communal space, that it counts towards the place decor on each individual builder space, which doesn't sound like it's working as intended. So hopefully they get that sorted, because I think that would be problematic if you try to build something in the center or whatever it is, and have that affect the decor count possibilities on the individual plots. That would be a major issue, I think. Yeah, I haven't actually seen how it's actually connected. I don't know if you can bridge the space between each thing, or if it's just kind of like you have to walk over each one, or what. I know there was some texture item bleeding issues where if they had something super oversized on one plot, it would like extend or repeat over to the other plots, which would be problematic. So there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to run into. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see, because I know there's a lot of builders that already plan their plots as if they're already connected. So it should be interesting to see how they actually do that. One other thing I would mention, I don't know if it's been fixed already or if there's plans for it, but um, what I heard, there was issues with people inviting their alts, because apparently it's not like you can have a main and then invite 4 of your alts to be a community with your main, because apparently both people have to be online at the same time to get invited to a community. So you can't actually be online with yourself. So I guess that'll be something people will have to work out. And because I don't know if maybe someone can start the community, invite all of your alts, and then leave the community and turn over that community to you, and then that still wouldn't work, I don't think. So I don't know. It's some stuff to look into. If you have the chance and opportunity, definitely do, and definitely leave your feedback, because the more information they get about what people are expecting, what they're looking for, what things are working, what things aren't, that will help them flesh it out better for the next iteration of this particular feature. Again, I don't believe it's slated for release with this next major update that's expected to come out. I think it's actually slated for later this year, so I'm glad that they're taking time to let us give a sneak peek. But I'm super glad that they're taking the time to really work on it before they uh, really send it out into the wild. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Good luck with any projects you happen to be working on. Again, if you're looking for some extra work or just want to help out a fellow builder, be sure and check out our Builders Wanted section on the Twitch channel page. It's one that I kind of uh, give a shout out to those that are looking for contributions from other builders, such as Seraphim Blades from the forum. They run a museum on NA side, though they are willing to work with EUers if they can get in touch with them, to display different artworks. In fact, we toured their place, I think it was the week before last, to kind of show off the progress and some of the artworks there. It's a great collaboration effort. They just wanted to give an opportunity to show multiple people's work on a single plot. So if you have a piece that you think might qualify, they do have some specific criteria, but they did want to reiterate that they're flexible in that regard, depending on what the item is and how much is going on. I think once they get enough entries and the plot becomes capped with the decor space, that eventually it'll become more of a kind of a rotation type of deal. Maybe once a month they'll change out pieces as new pieces come in, that kind of thing. So yeah, if you're interested in that or other things, be sure and check out that. Of course, don't forget Kit's Daywalker Customs. If you're looking for some commission work where you are looking to hire a builder to build something to your specifications, whether it be a piece of furniture or an actual full-on-fledged house. I think they've even done like guild houses and things like that. So if you're looking for some kind of collaborative effort in that regard, be sure and check out their website, see some of the examples of their work. Go and check them out in person if you can, and maybe you can work out a deal with them. So until next week, I hope you guys have a lot of fun. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.